Thank you. Thank you for having us here. What I thought is I'll just begin with a small presentation which sets the context of what's happened with the private equity in Indian healthcare. Where are we? What are the roadblocks? And I think then I'll request all the panelists one by one to really deliberate on these topics and see how private equity in Indian healthcare can really help change the paradigm as of now. So investing for a healthy future. I think in India we have a lot of issues, and one of the things we looked at it, and I look at this presentation where we start as having three Indias. In 1951 we had a population of 36 crores, in 1981 it's 68 crores, by 2011 it's going to be 119 crores. So we're not dealing with one country, we're dealing with three countries. Same thing goes with the cities. We only had 5 cities which had a million population. That goes up to 40 cities with a million plus population. Taking that same analogy forward, I think there are three different needs. So you have 810 million which are low income people for whom healthcare means more of sanitation, environmental, basic health needs, and medical needs only when it's necessary. That's the largest population. They have different needs. Then we have the 300 million, the middle class, which is aspiring, where the healthcare needs come up right up to health enhancement. And finally, you have the 19 million who are looking beyond healthcare to actually optimal health. So there's a total different business model for them. There are three consumer generations in India. We had liberalization children. Those are people who were born after 1986. So they've always born in a liberal economy. We have transitions children who were born between 1955 and 1985. We had midnight children, people who were born very close to independence. So again, the requirements are different. So to say that everyone needs the same health care is not. So there need to be various different business models to address these needs. So if you look at midnight children, they look more at maintenance. If you look at transitions children, more at well-being. Liberalization children look more at proactive prevention, fitness, wellness management. So there have to be different delivery organizations for this. We've had various growth waves in India, starting off with the Green Revolution, with the IT revolution, which put India really at the center stage, a retail revolution in 2006. And I'm sure now the next would be healthcare and maybe education. So healthcare in India, I think obviously we have a growing and aging population, puts a huge stress. So over 195 million population will be above 60 by 2028. The burden of chronic disease is really growing, and this is at a time when you've not been able to eliminate the acute diseases. While they remain a problem, but heart disease, diabetes, cancer are growing. India, in fact, is the diabetes capital of the world. It says that every 10 seconds a person dies of diabetes. And 50% of people in India have diabetes, but they don't even know about it. Access to all services have grown. Look at how access to mobile phones has grown. But hospital beds, it's still not gone on that same way. So I think the next revolution is going to come in here. As Divya mentioned in the morning, healthcare is still not very accessible. We recently did a study which showed that 46% of patients travel over 100 kilometers from small towns to access proper medical care. And often in the cities, you have the maximum concentration of healthcare facilities, but just as you go from urban to semi-urban to rural areas, the availability of healthcare really goes down. Healthcare is still out of reach for majority of the population. It says over 3.2% of the population is pushed into poverty every year due to medical treatment costs. Today, most of the financing is out of pocket, as much as 70%. So this is what's driving healthcare, and just the growing population, the rising income, urbanization, chronic disease, accessibility, and finally medical value travel, where people are looking at India as a destination for health. So the market we estimate is 60 billion, growing at 15%. The healthcare market's broken up into three components. Healthcare delivery is the largest component, say close to 46 billion. Then you have pharmaceuticals, which is 9 billion, and about 5 million is the medical equipment market. While primary healthcare takes the largest share of the market, there are very few private players. All the private players in this are at an individual level. So the greatest opportunity today we feel lies in the secondary care, that's mid-size of hospitals offering basic specialties and diagnostics, because 85% of the care can actually happen in that segment. This is how the Indian consumer spend is going to change between 2008 and 2027. You see the spend on healthcare moves from 7 to 13%. We feel the huge opportunity will be beyond the metros. Close to 500,000 beds would be required in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. If you look at the healthcare policy, the government is now today redefining its role from a provider to actually financing care. So this is going to be one of the greatest drivers for the private sector going ahead. So the sources of funding, while investments from the public funding will go up, and as Divya mentioned, the public funding is very, very low, close to only 1.3% of GDP. But there would be a lot of private funding which would come in. Today, most of the funding for corporate hospitals and most hospitals is done through long-term bank loans. Private equity has happened, and if you look at healthcare, a lot has happened disproportionately in the pharma sector, but 24% of private equity investments have also happened in the hospital sector. But there's a whole spectrum, right from CROs to medical device companies to daycare surgery centers, which will see investment happen. So where are we? Evidently, everything in healthcare is a nascent thing, so we are more on the left side. Traditional buyouts, very few, brought out by the fact that some of the Indian companies today actually have to buy healthcare companies outside India. For the simple reason, very few healthcare chains exist which could actually be acquired. But going ahead, I think mergers and acquisitions will happen. This is how the hospital life cycle looks. You need to have about 3 years when you break even. Your net profits start kicking in at 5 years. Your peak margins are 6 years. So it's a capital intensive, long gestation industry. The key issues on the earnings, the costs, and this is some of the issues we'll deliberate. So I think we have both sides of the coin: the opportunity, a high need gap, limited presence of network hospitals, a skewed bed to population ratio, most privatized healthcare delivery, a mixture of brownfield and greenfield, but a lot of growth impediments, the real estate costs, replicability and scalability for all the existing players, management bandwidth, clinical nursing and paramedical manpower, and somehow even we feel there's a lack of entrepreneurship in the healthcare sector, unlike other sectors. Also, I think none of the players have really followed an integrated healthcare strategy. This has worked very well for corporations. And I'll give you an example of Netcare in South Africa, which operates everything from primary care, retail pharmacy, diagnostics, emergency medical services, ancillary healthcare to public-private partnership. Covers the whole spectrum. Very few players in India who actually do this. Apollo and Fortis are two who are looking at this whole spectrum. Also, these worked on different philosophies, having partnerships with doctors, having group practices, differentiate through flexibility and creativity, and benchmark with the best, not only in healthcare but across sectors. So that's how this particular organization, the revenues really went up astronomically, and later on the promoters actually sold it. If you look at the Indian and the US hospital sector, I think Indian hospitals are performing much better with higher profit margins, with the same leverage ratios. The US hospital sector has not been doing very well. Many of them are looking at opportunities in India. So I think where they bring in the technical expertise, I think that could be a huge potential where a lot of investment would be required. So the issues in investing in healthcare, I think first we know real estate, the quality of the asset, professional management and manpower. There's an absence of data for comparables. Often you want to compare 2 or 3 organizations, you don't have any data. Quality and accreditation protocols are still weak. Everyone in India is focused more on infrastructure, but very few people have actually focused on processes and outcomes. But your real value comes in if you have great outcomes. And finally, the regulatory compliance. So how are you accelerating growth? I think you're expanding the value chain. Indian hospitals are acquiring facility. They're also trying to increase their capacity utilization of existing facilities. A lot of hospitals are now embracing ambulatory or outpatient care, so reducing length of stay. And finally, that obviously improves your return on investments. So just to conclude, about 60 billion in revenues. The healthcare opportunity is big, expected to grow. Most of the growth drivers, I think, are in place. Opportunities are both at the front end, that's the delivery and the enabling side. But I think what's very important in Indian healthcare, you need to innovate, and you need to make that an innovative paradigm is required, which will only make investments worth it in healthcare. But I think healthcare today in India gives you boundless opportunities in a borderless world. Right, we'll now start with the session.